And I think what people don't understand is, even for us practitioners, because we're working with humans and they're multifaceted, it is trial and error. You're still married, but your marriage is not where you want it to be.
No, definitely not.
The person that you choose to marry is the most important decision in your life. True or not true?
Very true.
Because healthcare practitioners also need healthcare practitioners.
Yeah, it's almost like, Catholics that go to confession. Like, you feel like you're like, this is what it's like. It's like, I don't want to burden everybody else. Everybody's got their own stuff going on, so it's kind of nice to have that person. Just like, here you go. And it's like, literally, like, just let it all out and just like, okay, all right, I'm good.
What do you tell me if I'm depressed? I'm not doing anything. I'm eating chips on the couch. I'm watching Netflix. I'm drinking beer. What are you telling me? Like, Mark, how do you help me with that? All right, guys, and welcome to Becoming a Better You podcast. Today we have Lori Patterson, Psychotherapist, right? That's the easy way to say it. But your credentials are LICSW.
Yes.
I did that right?
Yes.
All right. So what is your profession and how do you help people?
Well, I'm a psychotherapist, as you said. So, I have people of all walks of life. I have children, I have adolescents, adults, couples, families, pretty much everything. See all different issues: anxiety, depression, anger, self-esteem, trauma, ADHD, you name it.
So they could seek you out for any reason?
Pretty much. Not that I, specialize in everything, of course, but for the most part, pretty general at this point. I do have a certificate in family and couples therapy that I graduated with as well. But I just wanted to expand it out more, just to have the ability to help more people. And now
you're licensed so you can see people on your own versus like in like a hospital or...
Right, exactly.
And that's advanced training, if I'm correct.
Well, it's like with the degree, once you get the MSW, the master's, then you have 2 years you have to work under a supervisor, and then you can get the licensure. So there's 2 levels of licensure. You get one, you have to take one test right after, and then you have to take another test 2 years later. After you have that supervision. So I'm in a small group practice, but I'm pretty much independent. So doing telehealth since COVID.
Yeah, so fun times.
That's been, but it's been nice. I do like the transition to that. It's actually been good.
So speaking of COVID then, did you see an increase in people with anxiety, depression across the board? Yeah, definitely. Oh yeah. So much uncertainty with all of that for sure. There's definitely been a lot of people that just didn't know what was going to happen next, which none of us did really. So what would you say increased a lot? Anxiety, depression, phobias? What did you see? Yeah, definitely anxiety. Yeah, OCD. Sometimes that got worse with some of the clients that already had those issues, or some people developed it too because they were more concerned about the germs and everything. So that could be pretty tough on people. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So we know that words don't teach, right? Only really life experience teaches. Mm-hmm. Because if words taught, then nobody would ever make any mistakes, because people have made pretty much 90% of the mistakes you can make, right? Yeah. So somebody has to kind of go through their own rite of passage and be like, that didn't work. Even though Lori told me that I shouldn't do this, I did it and then it worked. How do you get across to your clients in a way that hopefully they listen to you? Well, I think it comes down to their motivation. Why are they seeking therapy? What is it that they feel is missing in their lives? What isn't working? They come to me for all different reasons. So they have to figure out what their goals are, what the problem is, what the goals are. Is that what they come to you for, to try to figure that out? Yeah, I do a full assessment, backgrounds, pretty much gather all the information that would be potentially relevant at least, and then go from there. Okay, what are the issues you want to work on? What are the goals you have? What are the steps that we can take to get there? What are some of those things you can try? And trial and error from there, really. So are you basically trying to give somebody a game plan, simplify what's going on, make them understand it? Gain insight in themselves. Yes. And then give them a plan to get out of it. Mm-hmm. That's basically... Yeah, that's kind of what we do in physical therapy. We do that in... weight loss. So it's kind of the same method. Yeah. And I think what people don't understand is, even for us practitioners,
because we're working with humans and they're multifaceted, it is trial and error.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's not like you're fixing a vacuum and then you just put it together and it works. Like, people have all these different facets of their life where we have to kind of blend with them.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what is your tact to like gain trust in like in a new client?
Well, I guess it's just so many people just want someone to listen to them. And you wouldn't believe how many people don't even have that. Like, they're just feeling like people, they'll listen, but they'll tell them, oh, do this, do that, but it's like, they're not really listening. They're maybe giving them stuff they've heard 100 times before, and they just want someone to really get them.
Are you talking about professionals or just like their friends?
In general.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big thing. I mean, some people just really need that support, and they don't have that.
So how do you know when you should seek help?
I guess when you keep trying the same thing over and over again,
that's not working. Yeah.
Definition of insanity.
So your results will dictate where you're going.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for you, I want to talk about two things actually. Mm. But number one, like OCD, right? Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Yeah.
I definitely have a twinge of that. What is that? That's basically like, you do these actions so this negative consequence doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be shown in so many different ways, whether it's organizing, cleaning, checking things, counting things, obsessive thoughts. It could be a number of things for sure, but everybody has their own way, trying to figure out how to stop bad things from happening, which doesn't really work.
Do you think most people use these kind of different coping methods to deal with life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's usually some sort of anxious moment, something that's either happened to them or it's a learned behavior through their families or whoever raised them, I guess.
My mother definitely has OCD. Yeah. Especially when she was younger. Yeah. Right? Everything had to be in the same place. Mm-hmm. The house had to be immaculate. Mm-hmm. We would even sleep at my grandfather's house so we wouldn't mess up our house. Mm-hmm. Right? Love my mom. Yeah. But she's a 4'11" Italian woman. So I made it out pretty good. But I definitely, you kind of like twinges or you do things twice.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think most people have that?
Probably in one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the other thing I want to talk about is like that negative self-talk. Mm. So I was actually just meeting with a client upstairs, and she's beating herself up because she gained all this weight. Mm. Right? So like, I know as a coach, like, we can get through this. Like, you're not a unicorn. Right? We know how to help people lose weight. But you don't need to beat yourself up. Because like I told her, like, society will beat you up enough. Mm-hmm. You don't need yourself beating you up.
Definitely not.
Right? Nope. And I think we all do that to some extent. But when we talk about like that negative self-talk, can you kind of educate me onto like why that's there? Like, is it beneficial at all? And like, how do we get rid of it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the severity of it. I mean, if it is there to help you, like, there's constructive criticism and then there's destructive. So it's constructive if you're saying like, okay, I could do better at this, like I can definitely get better at this, like whatever it is. I think that's helpful. That helps you to grow and you see where you are realistically. But if it's like, I'm such an idiot, what's wrong with me? I can't do this. Like, I'm not even going to try. Like, what's the point? Like, that's destructive. You're not going to get anywhere thinking like that. You're just not.
And do you think that could be a learned behavior, right? Obviously from like parents or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you also feel like sometimes people do that negative self-talk to get that pity attention?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I definitely know people like that they just want the sympathy. Maybe they feed off of that. So
because it's attention, really.
Yeah, and change is so hard, they don't want to change, so they'd rather just sit there and complain about things and get the attention, and that's what they thrive on. Some people like the drama. Some people are help-rejecting complainers. They'll reject everything you give them.
And so what do you do in that case, then?
Those are the most challenging, for sure. I mean, sometimes you get it more with the teenagers or the kids who, like, their parents put them in therapy. But, you have to figure out, again, where their motivations are. Like, is there something that they are just tired of dealing with, like their parents yelling at them? It's like, all right, what can you do to prevent them from yelling at or this consequence that you don't want? Like, because obviously this isn't working, like sometimes they just have to make that mistake a number of times. And again, definition of insanity. We're all insane to some degree. Listen, there's no normal.
Everybody's fucked up. Right? I mean, I don't think there's one person that's not. Like, I'm wearing a cut-off lumber shirt and like a wristlet. So do you know how many psychiatrists it takes to change a light bulb?
That's a good one. What is it?
One, but the light bulb has to want to change.
There you go.
Right?
There, yep.
And so that brings me to the point where like you or me, depending on whatever genre you're in, like we can help somebody, but they have to want it.
Yeah.
Like we tell people in like the weight loss, like, I can't want this for you more than you want this for yourself. Because you're the one doing the work. I'm just your coach, or you're a coach guiding the way, right?
Yeah, of course.
Can you tell when somebody hasn't reached that decision point? And then like, what do you have to do to kind of get them there?
Yeah, well, sometimes you can and sometimes you can't, because some people are very stubborn and they will see whatever they want to see and they will be closed off to any other things you have to say. So it really depends on the person and their motivation. And yeah, they have to be ready, because you can't change people. You only give them the tools. You know, like,
in any facet of life.
Yeah.
So when we talk about like priorities, like we know that, again, I can't really help you if you're not going to make your health a priority or your mental health a priority. If someone's struggling right now and they don't know like how to make their life better, you know, would you be like, hey, the first thing you need to do is make your health, your mental health, your physical health a priority, and then things will fall into place?
Yeah. Yeah, you absolutely have to. I mean, but again, they have to be willing to make that effort. That's the thing. So if they're willing to make the effort, they can certainly make progress. It just depends how much work they're willing to put in.
And somebody who's like beating themselves up, they're more likely than not going to be depressed.
Yeah.
And when you're depressed, you don't want to put effort into anything.
Exactly.
Right?
It's exhausting.
Yeah, because you're just in this momentum cycle of negativity.
Mm-hmm.
How do they get out of that? Like, what do you tell me if I'm depressed? I'm not doing anything. I'm eating chips on the couch. I'm watching Netflix. Yeah. Right? I'm drinking beer. I'm smoking weed. Like, what are you telling me? Like, Mark, like, how do you help me with that?
Exactly. It'll be like, all right, so you came here, you wanted some help.
Well, it's a telehealth. I'm still smoking weed, eating chips on the couch. But yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. All right. So, I mean, I'd be telling them, like, you came here, you wanted some help. So what are you willing to change first? Maybe it's just too overwhelming. There's just too much they feel they need to change. So start small. Small, realistic goals. Like, you have to start with something. Even if it's like, even if it was exercise, that would help their mood, right?
Which it will, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing. So yeah, if somebody doesn't feel like they can get themselves to a gym and work out for an hour, it's like, all right, what can you do at home? What can you do for 5 minutes? Like, what do you think you could do for 5 minutes? Like, literally small. Like, if someone can't do something for 5 minutes, I'd be like, what can you do for 1 minute? Like, literally, hold a plank.
Have you said that to people?
Like, yeah. I will break it down as small as I'm like, literally, I want you to do one push-up, do one sit-up, do one jumping jack. I don't care. Just do one. Just do something.
Is it really about, starting to change the behavior in like these small steps?
Yes.
Right? Because again, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get the same results. Yeah. And what you either like those results or you don't. And if you don't, you have to kind of change the behavior pattern.
Yeah.
And I think just from doing this for so long, like, this is my limited understanding, but like, I don't think you can have sound mental health without working out.
Yeah, I mean, it is so important. Unless, like, somebody's wheelchair bound or something, there's still always something.
Listen, I got you. I'm a physical therapist.
You do that, yeah.
Yeah, one of my black belts was in a wheelchair.
Yeah, there's always something that they can do. I know some people complain about pain, fibromyalgia, whatever, but then there's other people that have that, and they can feel better because they're doing something.
Yeah. I never think you should make the diagnosis a limitation in your life.
No, definitely not.
And I think a lot of times, like, unwillingly, I'm Mark, but now I have this diagnosis, and that diagnosis becomes part of me. It's almost like my name, right? And like in almost every, I really believe a person has to watch what they say, because what you're verbalizing is what you're thinking.
Oh yeah.
So you can see what you're really thinking. And if I'm always like, yeah, well, I got fibromyalgia, I can't really do that, right? Like, you're just pigeonholing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe there's stuff you can't do, but maybe there's stuff you can do.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if you stop saying that, you could do it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's like the physical, that's the martial artist in me with the physical therapist combined. And I feel like when you're a physical therapist, you're working on the mental component as long as with the physical.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like for you, you're working with the mental, but just like go for a walk.
Yeah.
Walk your dog.
Stop eating, just junk food all day.
Get off the couch.
Yeah.
Get off the couch.
Mm-hmm.
So we also talk about like you can't pour from an empty cup.
No.
You're a healthcare professional, which means you have to keep your cup filled, right? But you also had your own challenges recently.
Yeah.
More than a few. So do you mind if we kind of go into that and kind of learn how kind of you process that, like knowing what you know? But listen, again, I've been there. When you're a healthcare practitioner and you're trying to help all these other people, but like you're not whole, it becomes challenging.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right? Because we're people too, especially if you care. If you don't care about the patient, it don't matter.
Right.
But we're caring people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You want to start with marriage?
I'm going to start in order. I kind of have a time.
Oh, we're going in order. All right. Where you take me through?
Jump around a little.
All right. This is your life. I'm just living in it.
Yeah.
So where are we starting?
So I guess starting back actually in 2018, August 2018, my brother had Crohn's disease since he was 16 years old. But it got really bad in August of 2018. And he was in the hospital for between then and September of 2021.
And how old was he then?
He was 43 at September of 2021. So he was in and out of the hospital, in more than out. There was a time he was there over a year without leaving, especially during COVID. He couldn't see anybody for months. He couldn't even eat food for a while. He had to be fed through a feeding tube, TPN. So they're trying to heal his digestive system. He was having a lot of infections. He had to have multiple surgeries, almost died of sepsis before. So many times. There were these times we didn't think he would make it. And he kept fighting. They tried different medications, just different things they could try to get him back on track. But, it's just, he'd get better for a little bit, and not so much, and then something else would happen. So that was, that was tough for a while, just him being there. It's kind of like there was always that anxiety in me and my parents, always worrying, and other family members, just always worrying what was going to happen. And
how did he... I don't know if I might have met him once or twice, right?
Probably.
But I would see the Facebook posts that he would post. He was a big wrestling fan, if I remember.
Wrestling, horror movies.
Yeah. So, and he had that, he started again that when he was 16?
16 it started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did he process that? I'm assuming it changed his personality a little bit, but again, you still have to keep fighting. So how did he process that disease up until he passed away, right?
Yeah, definitely get into that. But he was the strongest person I've ever met. I mean, I don't know how he went through the constant pain. I mean, he had pain meds, but they'd wear off, just constant pain, constant anxiety, worrying if his body was going to fail him again, depression, it's not a life. That's not living, being in a hospital or even when he was home. He wasn't living. He was stuck in bed. He was, just unable to do a lot of things that he wanted to do. He wanted to go travel. He wanted to go to amusement parks. It was something he was hoping he got to do when he got better. And, it just kept going on and on for too long. And yeah, I mean, it was tough. There were moments he would feel this isn't life. And, he would say, I just don't want to live. But he wouldn't stay stuck there for long. He kept trying. He kept fighting, for the most part. It's just...
What was the biggest lesson that he taught you?
Strength. I mean, I don't even, like I said, I don't know how he got through what he got through, but so much. I mean, and even when it's in its toughest moments, some of the other stuff I want to talk about that I was telling him about, towards the end, it was...
Did you use him as your brother and sister, right? But did you tell him, I feel okay, he's sick, he's going through this, but you still have the brother-sister relationship, so you're telling him this stuff about your life.
Yeah.
Right? Was he a good listener?
He was, and literally...
Most men aren't, just so you know.
Yeah, but he was. I mean, when he was in pain, too, and it was, like, literally, like, telling him about some of the other stuff that happened, some of the other losses I had, and he was like... And I said something, I was like, I know it's not like what you've been through, John, but he's like, you know what, pain is pain. It's just, he's right. It's a different kind of pain. It wasn't physical. It was emotional, and it's just, he got it, and he was able to think of other people even when he was sick. He just had a good sense of humor, the stories he would tell, the memories that he would hold in his mind about people. And I just wish I was able to do that like he was, just, yeah. It's just, I miss him a lot, but I know he's with me. He's always giving me signs. Like, I truly believe that he's there. He shows me rainbows. Like, he's telling me there's a rainbow after the storm. He's been telling me that for a long time. So, yeah, he's definitely around me all the time. It's not the same, but it helps.
And how does that shape you as a sister, like as a family, right? You have somebody who has a disease when it gets pretty serious.
Yeah.
Like, how does that shape you? Because you always have that constant level of anxiety, right? Like, I grew up with a sick mother, so I understand that.
Yeah.
But how did that shape you? Like, how did the family process that?
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of my parents, for sure. I mean, my mom was taking care of him, like, had to do the TPN herself. Like, he never got to move out of that house. Like, my parents divorced when I was, like, we separated when I was 9, divorced when I was 13. But we always were close to both of them. My dad was always around. So, but he was in the house with my mom. And, she was doing all of that. And just, that was a lot on her. My dad was in the hospital with him every day, more than my mom could be, because my mom deals with fibro and anxiety and depression and that sort of thing. So she wasn't able to be there every day, but she
was the bond between John and your father pretty strong?
Oh, yeah.
I could see that, right?
Yeah, all of us, we've always been close. I mean,
did you get closer after he got sick?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, as kids, you always have these little things to argue about, of course, but, and then I moved out when I was 22 and went to grad school. So I think we got along even better after that, because you don't have those, day-to-day arguments and whatever, but we definitely had a bond over different things, and just always made me laugh. Like,
in those moments, like, what did he confide to you, right? Because you're probably going to get his real thoughts versus, I don't know him, but like to a T, but like, you're his sister. You know what I'm saying? He's probably going to say stuff to you that maybe he wouldn't even say to his really good friends.
Yeah, and it was hard for him to hold on to friendships. Sometimes people suck, just to be blunt. Like, they don't want to, deal with someone who's sick all the time.
Right.
And he lost friends because of that. And that's rough. That's really right. You learn who your true friends are. Like, we all do. I mean,
what would he say to you, though, as far as, because his insight into life is going to be much different than a lot of people's, right? And for me, like, I believe that life's eternal. Like, just because you are not in this physical body, like, your spirit just doesn't die, right? So he's probably watching this right now and be like, why is that guy in that shirt, right? That's probably what he's saying. He looks like an old school wrestler. But, like, because here's the thing, like, the lessons that he learned in the 40 years of life, right, are lessons that, and I believe you don't die, he takes with him. He was able to, you know what I'm saying? Like, he had an insight that most people don't get to see.
Oh, yeah. His soul is one of the strongest. And I have a friend who's a medium, and she has been able to pick up on his energy in my house, my old house and my new one. So he's definitely there, and she just feels so much strength, so much love coming from him. It's like, I think everything we go through in life strengthens us, especially the tough stuff we go through. Like, it helps us grow, it helps us evolve, it helps us to awaken, ascend, whatever words you want to use. We are always progressing in that way. So even though he didn't get his recovery in life, like, that energy is with him now, for sure. So.
And he's not hurting.
No.
Yeah. And I think I remember seeing a post towards the end. I think he posted on Facebook. I think it was from the hospital. And, when you looked at John, I was like, that's not a life. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, like, I get it. Like, I understand. And that's probably where he was and you were. Because, like, how long can you keep going through that if you're not going to get better?
No, you can't. And I was always, every night, like, I'm Wiccan. I've been Wiccan since I was 15. I was Catholic growing up, but, spiritually, it just didn't fit. So every night, sitting at my altar, I have a healing altar at home. And, the healing angels, healing gods, deities, whoever, I call them my spirit family, ancestors, animals, whoever, has passed on before. I talk to them every night. And for years when he was in the hospital, just like pouring my heart out over that altar, like just wishing and praying and hoping and sending healing energy and vibes, whatever. Just really wished for a healing miracle for him. And sadly, it wasn't meant to be. But I'd like to think that energy still went to him. Just didn't, go to him the way I wanted it to, So, yeah, it's just, it's been tough for sure, but I know he's part of that spirit family now, and
now he's always with you.
He's, my friend that's the medium said he is one of my spirit guides. So I know he's helping me with a lot of things now. So some of the other stuff I'm going to talk about, I'm sure I wouldn't have been able to get through without him.
So tell me, what's next?
Okay, so, we kind of, his journey spans a little bit of that timeline, but...
so some overlap.
Yeah. So February 2021, after about 4 years of trying to get pregnant in my prior marriage, I did find out I was pregnant the day after my birthday that year.
How old were we?
Let's see, that was 2 years ago. So I'm 40 now. I just turned 40. Well, at the time of us filming this, it's February, the last day of February. Yeah, so I turned 38 that year. Finally got pregnant. And so my brother was out of the hospital at that time. For a little while. He got out like December of 2020. And so he was out for a little while. He was doing better. So we were all happy. And it's like my ex and I were at my mom's house. My dad was there. My brother was there. We were kind of doing like a little birthday cake thing.
Did you know you were going to tell them? Okay.
And I wasn't that far along. I just kind of found out like 2 days before. I was like, hey, I waited so long. I don't care. I'm going to say it. I don't care. People wait. But I'm like, I'm not freaking waiting. So, yeah. It was like, I remember the way we told them, it was like, okay, well... So I was like, we were all sitting around in the living room. So, it was good. My parents were able to get along with each other. They had to be there for each other with everything that went on with my brother. So even though they're not together, they were able to do that, which was great. So the way I said it was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of cool that the six of us are all here together. And everybody's like, wait, what do you mean, the dog? Like, you're counting the dog? I'm like, oh shit, I should count the dog. My mom's dog. I was like, no, the 6 people that are here.
That's cute.
So
how long did it take them to figure it out?
I don't know. My mom just looked at me and she's like, are you having a baby? I'm like, yeah. And she started crying, of course,
What was your brother's reaction to that?
He was like, oh my God, congratulations. Like, he was so happy that he was going to be an uncle because he probably wouldn't have kids himself. So, yeah, he was definitely happy that was going to happen. So it was a really good moment, but sadly it didn't last because, I was only pregnant from, technically they measure the dates like starting from 2 weeks before your last period or something. So technically it was like 9 weeks later I started bleeding, March 2021, had to go to the hospital, and because of crap.
Did you know at that point?
I don't know. I mean, it was the first pregnancy, pregnancy. I never really knew what to expect, but usually bleeding.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. Yeah.
I mean, you can bleed and be okay, but I had to go get checked out. And because of stupid COVID rules, my ex couldn't even come in with me. So I'm in the hospital alone, getting the exam done, have to get that news alone.
Yeah.
And that broke me. That definitely broke me, like that the baby had no heartbeat. And so, yeah, and then, the process of that was just, it's more than what people say. I'm not going to go into super detail, but yeah, it was excruciating pain 2 days later when everything has to complete itself. And so, yeah, that was emotionally and physically, that sent me into a depression, especially because all the hormonal changes too. You can go through a postpartum depression after a miscarriage. So is that mixed with grief, mixed with it took 4 years, is this ever going to happen again? So there's all those doubts and fears and worries, and it's like...
Did you turn to your family in that time?
And it was tough because, again, my brother was still sick, so my parents were, helping him with all that. I didn't want to put a lot on them, so, a lot of that was just trying to get through it, and it was probably one of my darkest moments because I literally wanted to be with my baby. I didn't want to live. And I had no intention of hurting myself because I do believe in, you do that, probably going to have to come back and repeat this crap again in the next life. So I never had any intentions of self-harm, but I was just like, just please kill me. Let me die in my sleep. I just can't do this anymore. Like, it was rough. I just didn't want to be here.
And why do you think you start? Obviously, hormonal issues. Obviously, the bond between a mother and a child is the strongest bond there is. I would have assumed.
For a while, I feared getting pregnant because I like to be active. I like to do things. I was afraid what would that stop me from doing. I worried about not being able to. I didn't know if I'd be sick all the time or whatever. Like all those things. Like like how am I going to have time to be a mother? All those fears probably a lot of people have. But I actually really felt that bond, more than I thought. And it was pretty smooth up until it wasn't. But, yeah, I felt that bond. And I actually really loved having that connection. And it just felt so empty.
Without the baby inside?
So empty, physically, emotionally. Just such a deep void I felt at that point. So,
Did you ever think that it would feel like that, and then when you lost the baby, you'd have that reaction to it?
I mean, I always feared, I'm like, okay, I know how common it is. A friend of mine's had 10.
Did they feel the same way, with theirs?
Yeah, I mean, she has 2 kids. So, yeah, but she's had a lot of those losses, too. And it's you hear things and other people, other friends, too. It's I know how common it is, so I always worried. I always wondered, is this going to work? Is this going to happen? So
how did you get yourself out of that mindset?
Okay, so I guess that kind of brings us to, I'm just kind of doing my best, day by day, doing the best thing I can.
And you're armed with the tools, though, because you're, right? Because
Yeah, I think it was the end of 2020, I started deeply getting into my meditation practices every day. There was some YouTubers I followed that were doing daily meditations. I want to do this. And then I just kept it going, finding different ones. YouTube's an amazing resource. I write my own too, because I have a group that I run. My Wiccan Coven. I run a group, I write my own. But I like doing different things. Learning what other people have to offer, doing Reiki meditations and getting that, I feel that energy.
Well, you're very spiritual, as I can tell.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, from my perspective, I feel like you understand the connection of vibrations, spiritual realm, right? So I'm trying to figure out is that why it affect? Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't, but is that why it affected you so much? Because you understood that spiritual connection between your baby and yourself. So you'd have more of a visceral reaction. Am I right in saying that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Whereas if some people didn't think like that, it'll definitely affect them, but maybe not as deeply.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and the friend that's a medium, she's going to love this, I keep mentioning her. I didn't mention names, just in case. But, yeah, she told me there was one, it's called Samhain. It's a Halloween, based, this is what Halloween's based on, the old Celtic festival. It's all about honoring your ancestors, honoring those who passed on, our loved ones. And the baby was there. And that was, October of 2021. along with my brother. The baby was there, and she said it was a girl, and I named her Hope before I found out, that it was a girl, but I kind of always felt that way. So,
because you're really in tune, right? So then, do you think that the spirit in the baby was there to teach you something about yourself?
Yeah, I think part of it was that I could find out that I could do it, that it could happen. That was always a possibility, and that soul's still connected to me.
Yeah.
Possibility she'll be back somehow. Not how I expected, is what I was told. I don't know, but...
So what's interesting about that? So I believe that we come down in like soul families,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
We've never talked about this, right? Yeah. So we've never really had that conversation like this.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, like, you come down to the physical realm with people that you've already been other lives with.
I have...
Right?
Part of my coven, there's 4 of us. We know there's a whole lifetime that we are connected in, actually. And there were a couple other people that they've been connected to as well. It's amazing.
And you choose to come in and have different relationships. Like, in one life, you could be brother and sister. Yeah. And another life, you could be husband and wife, mother, father, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, if I believe that, then you kind of believe the thing that maybe... You knew that spirit already.
Oh yeah.
But they were like, I'm just gonna come in for a little bit, progress Laurie along, right? Because anytime you have these contrasts, like you said, you grow from it to make you the person you want to be, or even show you that it's possible.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know, maybe even because we're divorced, right? But maybe it was to be like, this is possible, but not with this person.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Okay, you're right, but that's what from my kind of understanding of like the metaphysical, like, and I think that's an interesting theory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the time I wasn't thinking that,
right?
Like, still trying to make that whole thing work. But yeah, when she said, "Oh, it could be a way you don't expect," I'm like,
"What do you think that means?"
Happen? Like,
what do you think that means?
What, I don't know. So, but yeah, it's just I know there's a lot going on. This whole thing is definitely led to probably my 3rd spiritual awakening, and that's been pretty intense. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit too. But yeah, after the miscarriage, that was March 2021. Then in June of 2021, found out my cat, my only fur baby. When you don't have kids, like, that's your baby. That Salem, my black cat. Of course. All right, The Witch with the Black Cat. Such a tradition. Now I have Binks the Black Cat. Like,
what TV show was that from? Where the cat was Salem?
Salem was in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Binks was from Hocus Pocus, of course. But yeah, Salem. He got cancer. He was 11, and then I had to lose my only fur baby it was in July of 2021. So I found out in June, and it's like. Then he was sick, watching him decline,
So what do you think of yourself at this point? Because this is probably where you're at, I would say, your lowest point.
Yeah, I was, like I said, trying to do my best. Meditating every day. I was still working. I was trying to help other people. Sometimes it took my focus off my own problems. Because you know what? No matter what I've been through, there's people who have been through worse. So.
Well, I think the important thing for people watching is you didn't just lay down and give up.
No, I wanted to at times, but
you did.
Something in me wouldn't let me. I knew that. Like, no.
Oh, your brother wouldn't let you?
Well, he was still alive at the time.
Well, then he definitely would still, in the physical form, wouldn't let you.
Yeah. I just did my best, but I wasn't really living. I was existing at that point. I was just existing.
Do you think a lot of people in today's society are just existing?
Mm-hmm. They're in that hamster wheel.
I don't want to get off topic, but tell me what you see. Yeah. Not that they necessarily had to go through trauma, but they're in this hamster wheel of life, working the 9 to 5, working for a job that will fire you in a second.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what you kind of see?
Yeah, pretty much. People they get stuck. Yes, some people don't have the resources, or they don't know how to access them, maybe. So that's a big thing. Some people are stuck living in places with people they don't want to be in, whether it's family or relationships or whatever. They don't feel they have the resources, the education or whatever to get out of it. But yeah, or they just get stuck in jobs. They feel like they can't do anything else. So they don't want to go back to school, and they just feel like they can't do much about it other than just like, this is life. Go to work all day, make the money, come home, dinner, chores, whatever. Wake up, do it all again.
Yeah, I think that's one of the downfalls of being an adult is you lose that excitement for security.
Yeah.
Right? And I understand it on some levels, but like, again, if you're just existing, is that a life you want to, like, you only, listen, I'm turning 40, we're in the same age, right? And I'm like if I don't take these calculated risks now to be who I want to be, I'm going to do it when I'm 55. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like the prime time for us to and especially if you're younger.
Midlife crisis, what the hell?
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to be like 65, be like, I should start these 3 businesses. And then you do that, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to exist. I want to be able to grow and to use that contrast to take me further.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to Salem.
Yeah. So Salem passed, and that was another rough point for sure. So I was like, no, I'm grieving 2 losses. Because, it's a lot to deal with for sure. So, and then it was September of 2021 that my brother passed. He ended up with a septic infection, and it was time. I remember just getting that call that he didn't have much time left. I had to go to the hospital. And
did he know? Was he lucid to know?
No, he wasn't. He was definitely kind of all doped up on something, and he was, just bleeding. The septic infection was kind of going throughout his body, and it just is hard to see. But I looked at those machines. It's such a surreal moment, like all those machines hooked up to. And I was like, this isn't life. No, and I said to him, I mean, you can see they can hear you, and even if they're in a coma or whatever. Like, I was talking to him, like, I love you no matter what. And I still say it to this day every time I talk to him. It's just always and forever, no matter what. Because love never dies. It never does. And, I just said it'll be okay. You're never alone. You are never alone. I knew my grandfather was going to be there. He's another one that my friend had talked to that has visited me before. Apparently my grandfather, my poppy, and John are always in my house with me. I have a couple of spirit roommates, I guess. And
you charge them rent, or you're all right?
No,
they're free.
That's right. They help me out. They protect the place. And I got you. There, whenever, And a friendly ghost roommate apparently now too. So they're there. They play with my cat when I'm busy.
So that's interesting because like they say that like cats and dogs, like they can see different vibrational, so they can see spirits. Mm-hmm. That's why they'll look off and like.
What are you looking at, Binks? Like you're like.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Because like we can only sense like this frequency.
I can feel it. I can't see it. Like some people have that ability; they can see it. I can feel it. Well, sometimes out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, "What was that little white light?"
Yeah.
But like otherwise, I can feel it. Definitely energetically sensitive. So.
Do you think he was ready to go?
I think he knew that it was just he wasn't getting better. It was just 3 years of that. And he would only be out for a little bit of time, like a month here, a week there. I think he knew that it was getting to that point. So, yeah. Did
he do, what did he try to do to keep himself level? Did he meditate? Did he?
It's funny because he was starting to like get interested in some of the things that I was doing, like whether it was aromatherapy or meditation, like crystals. Oh my goodness, so many crystals. So like literally like.
Don't you say you have crystals in your bag over there?
I do. There's like probably 5 little baggies in there. And there's plenty more at home. But those are the small ones I carry with me. So, I'd give him different things. Like, heck, I tried everything in my power I could. I wish I had the power. I think we all wish we had the power. But I always said, if everyone we prayed for lived, no one would ever die. I mean, it's just it's not designed that way. Mm-hmm.
Do you think, like, everyone has their own journey to go on, right? And sometimes I believe that we choose, even before we come into this physical life, some of the experiences that we would like to have. Because it gives you a different insight. Mm-hmm. And it would take a special person or spirit to be like, hey, like, I want to go through this.
Soul contracts.
Yeah, okay. That's right, but that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So the insight that he would have going through that and the stuff he would teach you and other people, like that would take a special spirit to be like, I'm going to go through this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who wants wants to sign up for this crap? And I literally joke sometimes with my spirit family. I'm like, yeah, okay, it's easy for you guys to say, but you're not the ones here dealing with this. In my moments, I'm like, it's out of love, but it's like, seriously, why? What the hell? Why did I sign up for this shit?
Yeah, but at the same token, if you believe life's eternal,
of course,
then
it's a blink of an eye,
and it doesn't really matter in that sense, right? Because it's just like a ride, but you get to go through these experiences. Yeah. But yeah, I think that, especially him and his circumstances in fighting it for so long, like had to teach so many other people who were around him so many lessons. Yeah. And maybe it's the lessons that you needed to learn going through what you did. Yeah. Because you're like, I can't give up right now. No, he's been fighting this for 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, seriously. And, I'm sure, with all the health stuff, like, at times he would say, oh, yeah, if I get better, I want to be a wound doctor or something like that. Maybe in his next life he will. Maybe, more on a spiritual level, he's helping people to heal in whatever way. I'm sure he's doing it somehow. And he's going to continue to. Like, he's going to get there. It's like, you're not going to repeat the same life again. Like, you're relearning that life.
No, I don't think that'd be exciting. Crap. Right? Yeah, you'd want something different.
Like, I'm not going on this wheel again. No, goodbye. No, I'm not doing that.
No more hospitals.
Seriously. Well, if he's in a hospital, let's hope he's healing people, not in the bed.
Right.
Seriously.
So we're going all through all this stuff. You're still married.
Yeah.
But your marriage is not where you want it to be.
No, definitely not. So,
and so the reason I bring that up is that, like, the person that you choose to marry is the most important decision in your life. Mm-hmm. True or not true?
Very true.
Right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you don't really know the person you're going to marry. And they change, So can you kind of walk me through that? What was going on in your marriage while going through the miscarriage, your brother's passing away?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so, I met my ex in 2011, June of 2011.
How did we meet?
eHarmony.
All right, I love it. That's the way for the future.
Yeah.
Well, that maybe 10 years ago it was. I don't know if it works now.
Okay, so met that way, we dated for it was over a year, got engaged, moved in, got an apartment together,
The normal pattern.
Pretty much, yeah. And then June of 2014, we got married. The wedding was beautiful. I mean, there were some things that we connected on. I mean, he was heathen, which is like the Norse pagan aspect. So, I mean, as a Wiccan, I believe in basically all the deities being real. They're just like facets of a diamond. The diamond is like source, the universe, God, goddess, whatever you want to call it. And then all the facets are all the individual personalities that we might want to, all the different faces that they could have.
When you say deities, do you mean different gods or different parts of the diamond?
Yeah, well, different gods, deities, I mean, even group angels in there if you want to. I mean, Christians, they have the saints, I mean, it's just spirit, nature spirits. It could be a number of things, really, but...
Do you believe that each person is a god? Or do you believe that there's gods and then there's people?
Well, I think we all have power within us, that is divine. I think that the deities don't just exist outside of us. I think they're within us too. We, part of that whole awakening process, that spirituality is recognizing that, knowing who we are. I mean, I think there are limits. Again, if I had all the power, I would have cured my brother. He'd still be here with us. If I learn how to do that someday, everybody's going to be bothering me to heal the world. But
we'll do another podcast first before you go on TV or YouTube or whatever. You have to come here in the basement.
Of course. So, I definitely think we have that within us for sure. But I think, there's probably levels to it. Maybe deities have ascended. Maybe they've gone to it. And there's different beliefs. Maybe they've ascended through all this stuff we've already been through to get to that higher level of spiritual vibration. And who knows? Can't say I have all the answers, but, it definitely is one of those things that, we have to find what we connect. Everybody has the right to believe what they want. And
well, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Life is preference. Mm-hmm. You can believe whatever you'd like to believe. Mm-hmm. If you're happy, you're happy. Yeah. I just believe it as long as you're not hurting anybody. You're good.
That's the main tenet of Wicca. Harm none. I mean, don't hurt anybody.
And that's why people protest against people who have different. It's a preference. Yeah. I don't go have fun. You know what I'm saying? people should worry more about their preferences and their life versus like, I don't care what you do. You know what I'm saying? You happy? Do I like you? Yeah, we're good. You know? But I think people get too fixated on like, they don't believe what I believe. Who cares?
That's exactly how my ex was.
Was like what?
Basically, if it wasn't his way, or they didn't think
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Then it was wrong, or they were stupid, or it's bad, or all this fun stuff. So yeah. So we'll get into that a little bit. Well, I mean, to finish up the whole thing when my brother passed, like, it was a turning point for me because I kind of felt like I have to be strong for my parents. It was just me and my brother, and, you know, we don't have, like, a big family. So I had to be strong for them, too. Obviously, they're all there for each other, but I knew I couldn't. I knew I had to keep going. And one blessing that came out of 2021 was Binks, my little baby, my cat, because it was funny. He was born a week after Salem died to a friend of mine. She had a cat that had a litter. It was a little black cat. It's the only one. And she's like, do you want this one? I'm like, yes! Because I lost my baby. I lost my fur baby. I needed that maternal instinct. I needed something. Like, I just want a little baby to hold, please. So, you know, but that was kind of a fight. I mean, my ex, he loved Salem. Like, that was his cat before we met. He was really good with him. He loved Salem. So, you know, that was always a good quality. He helped take care of him until he died. But it definitely, he just wasn't interested in getting another cat right away. He was taking these flying lessons. He wanted to be a pilot, change his career. He was an engineer. He wanted to shift to that. I'm like, fine, that's great. It's good to have goals. But he wanted to, like, be out traveling all the time. He's like, I don't want to have a cat in the house, another cat now, because then I got to worry about what we're going to do with it. We're going to go somewhere or whatever. It's like, I needed that. I really, really needed that little cat. And I fell in love with that picture as soon as my friend sent it to me.
So it kind of completed you, you know?
I needed that so much. And eventually he agreed. And he loved Binks. But, you know, he had his moments of frustration with him that were red flags, too.
So what were the red flags?
There were a lot of them.
Can you give me two?
Yeah. Okay. So, I have this outline here.
You came prepared.
I did come up.
And before we were on this, you said you actually needed to do this podcast for you.
Yeah.
Because you haven't really talked about this.
I have. I mean, my ex and I did couples therapy, marriage counseling for 6 years, starting in 2016. It was on and off. You know, sometimes things are okay. We'd stop for a while and, you know, do it maybe once a month. So then I've held on to her. Like, once a month, maybe I'll just check in with her throughout all the other stress I've been dealing with, just to, like, have that for myself, just to unload, just because.
Because healthcare practitioners also need healthcare practitioners.
Yeah.
What's the saying? It's like a lot of mental health counselors and also need health counselors.
Well, it's almost like, you know, Catholics that go to confession. Like, you feel like you're like, this is what it's like. You know, it's like, I don't want to burden, like, everybody else. Everybody's got their own stuff going on, so it's kind of nice to have that person. Here you go. And it's like, literally, like, just let it all out and just like, okay, all right, I'm good.
Yeah.
so yeah, it's good to have, but yeah.
But back to the two big red flags.
There's more than two.
If we had to pick the two, how many do we want to say? We got 17.
All right, so, you know.
Did we see these red flags before we got married?
Not so much. It's very covert. It's very, very hidden. Whether that was intentional or not, it was like, you know, there's definitely maybe little things that I can look back at now and see. But otherwise, the true colors came out over time.
I don't think you actually know somebody until you've been around them for, I'm going to say, a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, and that's what they say the honeymoon phase is. But it's different for everybody. Some people it's 6 months, you know, but yeah, I guess it just depends on the situation. But yeah, so I can't ethically diagnose my ex-husband.
We're not diagnosing. We're just saying.
But I mean, even the marriage counselor, you know, afterwards, she was like, that was so narcissistic of him. And I'm like, thank you for validating that, because I've been feeling this for years. You know, but it was like, it's a spectrum. Like any mental health disorder, like I have the ability to diagnose as a mental health provider. So the DSM-5, now it's a DSM-5 treatment revised. They're always changing this crap, but it's pretty much the same. They have a list of criteria you have to meet, like maybe 5 out of the 9 for this particular one. So like you can look at that and like, okay, check. So like, okay, so they're there. So some of the red flags, because people, they do throw that word around a lot.
I think I've heard women throw that, even if they don't like a guy.
Yeah.
Like, I think the go-to is like, he's a narcissist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know the particulars of any situation like that, but you hear that all the time.
Right, exactly.
Versus having criteria and checking the boxes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, when you actually know what it is, it's good to educate people. So inflated self-esteem, superiority is a big one. Like, it's not just confidence. This is more than that. This is like, I'm better than everybody.
Putting other people down.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, for him, it was about intelligence. Like, it could be different. Some people, it's appearance, it's like skills or whatever. But for him, it was like, I know everything. And everybody else is stupid. And liberals are stupid. And he hated living in Rhode Island. He's from Ohio originally. He's back there now. Which is great. Which is very great for me. So yeah, it's just, he never wanted to be here. It was like, he kind of always held that over my head. Because like on our second date, like, would you ever move? I'm like, my family's here. My friends are here. My job is here. My coven's here. My dance studio is here. Like, my life is here. Like, no, I can't do that. Like, lose everything. Like, no, these things I'm going to.
Do you think that was an attempt to isolate you from everybody?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could have been. I mean, that was early on, and it's like, okay, but I made that very clear from the beginning, and he was still like kind of holding it over my head. And it's like, well.
Throughout the whole marriage?
Pretty much, yeah.
Maybe he thought you'd change your mind?
I think that's what it was. I think he always thought I'd change my mind. And it's like, I was very clear from the beginning, and that's not changing. It's like,
yeah, because one of the red flags that we see in like self-defense with relationships, we're talking men and women, is that the man will move really fast. Mm-hmm. Like they will talk about engagement, marriage really fast.
Yeah, I had to slow that down.
Yeah, they'll isolate the woman, right? So if we take you away from your friends and family, you're isolated, you're under their control.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that as that goes on longer and longer, it becomes sometimes more challenging for the women to break away because now you're isolated. Yeah. Like, we tell people that you never want to go to a second location with an adversary. Well, if this is your husband, now you have all these emotions. He took you out of state, so you're around nobody. You don't know anybody, and now you're under his full control.
Yeah.
Right? So that's like one of the red flags we would teach in like a self-defense.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, but yeah, I knew that I would never do that. So I at least am glad I listened to myself on that for sure. But yeah, like they crave admiration. The manipulation in the relationship is gaslighting. It's funny. It comes from an old movie that basically husband and wife, the guy would go upstairs and he'd be, every time he's up there, the gas lights would flicker. It's these old lights. I forget how old this movie is. And the wife would be like, what is going on? And it's like, he just was like, what are you talking about? That's not happening. It was always like trying to make her think that
she's crazy.
What's going on? Yeah, it's like make you think you're crazy and that. So it's like always trying to twist the story. Like, I never said that. Like, what are you talking about? I never said that. Like, and I'm like, I have a really good memory. Like, a really good memory. Like, literally. In graduate school, I was writing down. We had to write these, what were they called? Like, we had to basically write down everything that was said in the session so the supervisor could go over it. And then she's like, how the hell do you have 20 pages? How do you remember that much? I'm like, I'm good. I've always written my dreams down. It's like, I trained my mind to remember things well. So, yeah. But he would try to make me think I was remembering it wrong to make himself look better, twisting the truth kind of thing.
So as a therapist, did you know this was going on, or were you kind of blind to it because of the relationship?
I knew, but it was like, of course it's times I'd question. I mean, I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. Like, I can always be like, did I? Like, was it? Like, I because I self-reflect a lot. That's what we're trained to do as therapists, too. Like, I self-reflect. And, like, but there were times I just knew, like, what the hell is this problem? Like, seriously? So that was part of it. That was just ongoing. Little to no empathy. Basically, with the losses, grieving over Hope and Salem and my brother, he maybe was supportive for, like, a week. Then after that, it was like, basically, I should be over it. Yeah, like you ever get over losing people you love, animals, whatever. No, you get used to it. You get stronger. You focus on other things, but you never get over it. So it's like if I was crying, sitting there crying over something, it wasn't like I was constantly crying, but like, no, he would just walk away or say, oh, you know, like, really? Like, a hug would have like been nice. Like, just a hug, like, would have helped in that moment. I would have been fine. Like, seriously, it wasn't that much to ask for. It shouldn't have.
Can narcissists love or just love themselves?
I don't think they really truly know how, because it's just one of the other things is lack of attachment and intimacy. And I think there's always a wall up. And I don't think narcissists are even monsters. I think they have trauma, most of them. Some of them are just very entitled. They grow up very entitled, but a lot of them have trauma, whether it's baggage, abuse of some sort, bullying. They just harden themselves. They get to a point where they just put on this tough exterior, and they have to always appear to not have these feelings because they don't want to be seen as weak. It's like, me, I see emotions as a sign of strength. I'm like, it takes a hell of a lot of strength to feel shit and just show it, because come on now. I mean, it's easy to just pretend you're fine, but you know, it's not.
I've heard that women a lot of times would like a man just to be there for them, and not even necessarily try to fix things.
Right.
Because like I'm a fixer, so like if there's something going on, like I'm going to try to fix it.
Yeah.
And I've been told like, no, just be here.
Just listen. Yeah.
Just listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
just
like,
a hug, you know, like something.
And I'm like, no, we got to fix this. Like, I don't want to do anything. So I've definitely learned that in my travels, that women definitely like just the man in this case to just be there and either hold them or hug them and not necessarily try to fix it.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I'm getting smarter with my gray hair.
Absolutely. But yeah, that was a big thing.
So when did you know you had to get out of that relationship? And how long did it take you to get out of it?
Yeah.
Before you did?
Yeah. Okay. So there's just a couple more things I wanted to touch on too. But yeah, they can't handle criticism. You know, basically he was never wrong, never apologized. It was someone else's fault, like mine, you know, whatever. But yeah, they can't connect as much as I tried, you know, in therapy over 6 years. Like there's little signs of like hope here and there that maybe things are getting better. Like he'd give me enough just to keep me wrapped in, and it was like, no.
Well, I would think a narcissist knows how to play the game.
Of course, yeah, exactly. Like I feel like he just wanted to be married. I don't feel like he ever really loved me. I feel like he loved the idea of being in love, and he wanted to be married, and he wanted to have kids, but I don't think he ever really saw me. I feel like there was always that wall up. I think
that's why some people get married.
Yeah.
Right? The idea of being married, not necessarily in love with the partner.
Yeah.
I would probably even think that's might even be more common than we would think. Mm-hmm. That's not my area of expertise, but
right, absolutely. So it's just that lack of connection was going on for years. Like he wanted to have kids, but literally it was like, okay, you're ovulating. All right, we'll have sex.
How do you deal with?
Once every 2 months, and that was it. I'm like, this is, and then I'd get blamed for not getting pregnant because, I'm too stressed. Gee, I wonder why I'm too stressed.
How did he deal with the miscarriage?
He was upset about that. He was disappointed. He was looking forward to being a dad. So you know, he did show emotions then, like maybe a week or so.
A week seems to be the theme.
Yeah, and then it was like I was criticized because I was taking longer than that, apparently. But yeah, it was like basically that was about how long it was, and you know, it was like.
So when you're living this, like how? So now we're getting like beat down by external things happening, but in the marriage we're getting beat down. Mm-hmm. Now you have to also see clients. Mm-hmm. So where was your mind at this point? Were you just kind of like all over, really trying to keep yourself?
Trying to figure out what the heck to do, you know? I mean, really, because, and then, you know, some of the big stuff that was happening that was really leading up to me deciding I needed to leave was the rage fits. Those were happening. Now, he never hit me. If he did, I would have been out there a long time ago, but it was destroying things in the house. Now, we bought the house in 2015, March 2015. And, you know, it was a 5-bedroom house. We planned to have a couple of kids, you know. It's just, it had plenty of space, you know. And, you know, when you have these fits of rage, it would be over the stupidest things. Like our homeowner's insurance got canceled in May. for whatever reason, he's like, oh, they're criticizing my flag. He's a big gun rights advocate. So I'm like, I don't care. Whatever. You're not hurting anyone with them. He never threatened me with them. Like, he had them legally. That's fine.
Well, it's from Ohio. Don't they all have guns?
Yeah, it's more common there. So, like, it didn't matter. But it was just the idea of, like, he always felt like he was judged or criticized for that. And then that would send him into these fits of rage. Like, he'd go to these gun rights meetings and stuff like that whenever it was, like, I think in May. No, that was in June, actually. But the homeowner's insurance thing got canceled in May. And I was like, all right, we get another policy. Like, why are you, like, destroying things? Like, there's holes in the wall. There's the basement steps. There's this glass, like, everything's broken. Like, I'm like, what the hell? I was getting so much anxiety. Like, when Binks would act up, he's a kitten. He's getting into everything. He's throwing pillows at him. Like, I can't have a kid with this name. I can't.
Yeah, that's a real concern.
It was huge red flags. Like, that was happening more and more. Like, there might have been little times here and there, like, oh, you want to spend Thanksgiving in this place is like, why are you picking them over me? And it's like, oh my God, like, stuff like that. I was like,
yeah, you couldn't keep that up forever.
No.
So when did you decide you wanted to get out, and then how long did it take you?
Yeah. So, I mean, the homeowner's insurance thing, I almost ended the marriage over that rage fit. That one was
Do you wish
bad.
you did?
So what happened was, I was thinking about it. This was Mother's Day. I'm at my mom's house, just me and her. I'm spending Mother's Day.
Now, did they know what was going on at home?
I told my mom.
Did your brother know?
Pictures of this stuff. And there were times I was like, should I call the police? Like, he always left. So I was like, all right. And I wouldn't clean it up. I'm like, no, he's going to clean that shit up. I'm not doing that.
Did it just stay there?
Well, unless it was like in a danger to Binks or something. Like, I would try to just isolate him in another room because I'm like, yeah, I'm not. And I mean, most of the time it wasn't my stuff. It was his stuff or stuff that needed to be fixed anyways. But like, we had a whole list of things that needed to be fixed on that house for 7 years. And it's like, instead of finishing projects, like one bathroom took 5 years and he still never finished it. It's like constant issue in therapy. But yeah, it was like really, like, he knew how to do all this stuff. He was really smart. He knew how to fix everything. He knew how to remodel. That's great. But, like, it was always held over my head, like, I don't feel like it. He'd rather sit home and watch TV and, rather than do things. And it's like, okay. So, basically, you're destroying the house instead of fixing it up the way we wanted to. And so, yeah, that rage fit happened. And I was just, like, thinking about this on Mother's Day in my mom's house. I'm looking at apartments on Zillow or something. It was, like, actually planning my, because we said something. It was like, that's it. I'm out of here. I'm out of state. We're selling the house. Blah, blah. I'm like, fine.
He said we're going out of state?
Yeah. And I'm
so
like,
there's his attempt to isolate you.
I'm like, fine. Then we're done too. So I said it then. That was the first time I ever said it. I just got to that point where I was like so sick of all the other crap that's been going on. I was like, I can't. So he's like, fine. That was his reaction. So I'm like actually planning this. And then he's like the next day, a few days later, like, you know what?
Was he all lovey-dovey?
No, but he never apologized. He never tried to like make up. It was more like, oh, okay, maybe next time I should just go for a run instead of doing like, okay.
Yeah, run to Ohio.
Have to Jeffrey to just like say, oh yeah, I'll try this next time. Yeah, right. Okay, sure you did. So yeah, but I was kind of like, all right. So I think the things about not wanting to end my marriage was like, all right, I was 39 years old at that point. Like, starting over is hard. I don't want to have to leave the house. I love the house in the woods in Gloucester there. Figured maybe I'll never have kids, like I wanted to make it work. And you know what? Those vows meant something to me. Like, they really meant something to me. I, at some point, was like, well, even if I'm not happy, I still made vows. I got to stay, But that only lasted for so long. Like, this is not what the gods, my spirit feeling would even want for me. Maybe I made vows to them, but they don't want this for me. They don't. No one should have to live like that. Life is too damn short to be miserable. It really is. So, and when I like kind of gave in at that moment in May, I was like, normally I'd feel relief afterwards. I'd be like, all right, so my marriage is okay. I don't have to worry about starting over. I don't have to lose in the house. I can still have kids maybe. But I didn't feel that this time. In May, I felt disappointed. I was like, I kind of wanted to start over. I kind of wanted a fresh start. And now I don't have that. And I'm like, now what? Now I'm back to this shit again. And it's like 5 minutes later, he's yelling at the cat, throwing pillows at him again. And I'm like,
And Do you think there's a lot of women in similar situations right now to what you were in?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And not just women. I have a male client that's dealing with crap like this.
Yeah,
right now.
men too, exactly.
It's not just, it's across the board. It could be, I have clients with narcissistic parents that they're stuck living with. And they're adults too, so they're just stuck there. It's like, so, yeah, it's just a tough, whether they diagnose it or not, the personality traits are just very, very tough to deal with. So,
and now you're a couples therapist.
Mm-hmm.
So were you helping people by day with the same issues and then coming home to it at night?
Yeah.
Was that hard? Like having that?
Yeah, I had my own insight for sure. But yeah, of course, there's things you get stuck on. It's like, oh boy, it's like, yeah, hearing them argue about the same things. I'm like, oh, this is...
I'm going to go home and argue about the same thing tonight.
Well, I try to just stay away from him when he got in those moods. Like, literally, we were isolated in 2 separate rooms, watching TV in 2 separate rooms. Like, it was having a roommate. I feel like I had a damn roommate for years. Like, what is this? We don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. We're not having sex. Like, what the hell is this? Like...
Do you think that made you a better therapist going through all that?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean...
Because from firsthand experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And again, words don't teach, only life experience teaches.
Mm-hmm.
And you're young, so you're going to have 40 more years of being a therapist,
mm-hmm.
but you have that experience to go on and be like, listen.
That helps more.
I was in the same situation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like when someone, there's a trainer, and they lost 100 pounds, now they're a fitness trainer,
mm-hmm.
and someone wants to lose 100 pounds, you'd be like, I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that...
Yeah.
What do you think you gained? Like, what did you learn from that experience?
So much about what I don't want.
Yeah.
That's huge. And what I don't want and will never have again. So that's been good. Just to know, what you don't want to end up with, basically. It's like, nobody knows that going in. There were good qualities too, like I mentioned. Like, I don't think he's a monster. I wish him the best. Like, whatever. Like, he went right from our house in November. He left in November.
So how did you tell him? And how did that go?
Let me back up a little bit. So I'm skipping a little bit. So I was disappointed in May. But then in June 2022, so that's when the whole gun rights thing was going on. I don't follow this. I hate politics. It's just so divisive. And like, no, he was a big, politics person. So it's like, which is fine, whatever. But it was always like, you're stupid and I'm right and blah, blah, blah. So it was always kind of that way rather than just like people are entitled to their opinion. So it was a whole thing. And he was like, they're going to take away all my guns and that's it. And I am going to move to, and his mother was always wanting him to move back, which I can understand. That's her son. Like, she has 2 other kids there though. And they have partners. They're both married. They have their kids. My ex never understood the fact that my parents only have me.
And lost
my brother. And he didn't give a shit. Like, he literally didn't care. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, what about what I want? What about what they want? And he was like, well, I lived here all this time for you. It's like, okay. So you gave in there, but, that's not the only thing. I mean, that's not the glue keeping this marriage together. It's like, literally, it's just not. Nothing was. Really. So, I mean, that was happening. And I saw he put a post on Facebook, like, saying something like, moving here was the worst decision of my life that I ever made. So it's like, as his wife, I'm kind of like...
Yeah, that's a shot at you.
That feels really great to see that. So that night...
You didn't reply back, marrying you was the worst decision of my life?
I don't shitpost. I like keeping things positive on there.
I love it.
In general, in life. But yeah, it was kind of like... All right, so I said to him, I'm like, I feel like life is just pulling us in different directions, and I feel like if you want to go back to Ohio and that's where you feel you need to be and be with your family and be where people believe the same things as you, then maybe that's what we need to do.
Were you hoping he said yes?
Yeah, but, basically his reaction was another rage fit, breaking things in the kitchen and throwing things around and saying...
Did you ever feel nervous when that happened?
Oh, anxiety was terrible.
Did you ever feel like he was going to hit you?
One time he punched a hole in a wall that wasn't too far from where I was. So, it came close, but, I always hoped it wouldn't go that far, but who the hell knows if it could have. Like, I don't know.
Is that one of the reasons you contacted me about starting jiu-jitsu?
Well, it was actually not too long after that, because this was in June, and I contacted you, like, was probably like a couple days later, because I had seen your videos on.
They're all very good, all my videos.
Of course they are. Even the funny ones. Like, I mean, they were great. So, and it made me laugh. I was like, oh God, I needed that right now. Like, I needed that laugh. Like those creepy Cranstonia videos. Classic. So, yeah, I needed that. But yeah, to back up a little bit, in June, when I said that to him, it was like that rage fit. And he was throwing things around, and he said, you never loved me. You always wanted to end up divorced like your parents. I'm like, how would I have gotten married to you if I wanted? Of course I didn't want to end up divorced. Like, nothing was even making sense. He said all his family warned him about me, and then this was the best part. He said to me, I know you killed our child. No, I know you killed my child. Yeah. But it was interesting because I felt like I had this spiritual, like, protection around me at that point. I mean, I think I've always kind of had it. I think I have a really good spirit team. I love you guys. So, yeah, especially when my brother was there, I felt like this whole energy was, like, around me, like, and I just stood my ground and was like, wow, that's really what you think, huh? You know? Thanks, thanks for that.
Did you know right then it was done? Like, there was no coming back from that?
There was never a way I'd come back from that. I mean, seriously, how low can you go to say that? Something that broke me. Wow. So that really, I'm like, this is where the mask comes off with narcissists. They will wear a mask. They will try to look great for everybody. But there's the monster inside. They came out, and I was like, there's no putting that mask back on. You have been demasked, and I'm taking my power back, and I'm standing here, and I am not ever letting you make me feel this way again. So, yeah, that was then. So, yeah, I'm really glad that I joined Bochner's because, yeah, I needed that. I needed to get out some stress, some anger, I needed to hit some shit, as you said.
Sorry, that sounds like something I'd say.
It was.
Yeah.
So, like, I was really, and everybody's so positive here. I needed to be around more positive people, like, just
other strong women.
Everybody's just been great. It's been a really good experience so far. So, definitely needed that. I needed to get out. I was in the hamster wheel. Like, I was working, do the laundry, do the groceries, clean the house. Like, I wasn't doing much other than that for a while. Like, just trying to survive every day, just with the grief, with the marriage stuff. I had no energy left to even, like, see friends for a while or their family. Like, I was just exhausted, like, all the time, so exhausted. Like, I think it was draining my energy. It was sucking the life out of me for a very long time.
Yeah, with that vampire.
Yeah,
was it vampires? Psychic vampires, yes. And I think that...
Narcissists are big ones for that, for sure. Yeah.
And I think for you, every time you come in here, like, you're always smiling, especially now. Do you feel like you're in a better place now that that's all behind you?
Yeah, I mean, I reconnected with friends, some people I hadn't seen in years. I just started getting together once a month or even.
Anybody I know?
Just, like Becky Clark, for example.
Okay, yeah.
Like, definitely connected with her. She's like one of my best friends in high school, So, I mean, it's been great to connect with her again and just other people, like, people. I kept the coven going since, like, 2013 I started it. But, a lot of people weren't. It's kind of an awkward situation. I was having to live in the same house with my ex up until November. So that sucked. I mean, big house, separation there for the most part.
But do you feel like you broke the ties, though? Right? Because I would feel that, okay, so like a narcissist or anybody who wants to control somebody needs power over them. Mm-hmm. Once they don't have that power, there's no tether. Mm. Right? So, like, if I care about you, and you're saying stuff that affects me. Mm-hmm. If I don't give a shit about you, you could say whatever you want. Mm-hmm. It doesn't affect me. So you kind of broke the bond, even though you're living together, but you have no power over me. Right? And when we teach women, like, you need to take your power back. Mm-hmm. Stand on your own 2 feet. Mm-hmm. Do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was huge, just connecting with people again, in that spiritual energy. Like, I felt this huge weight lift off me once I made that decision. I was like, I felt like the spirit family was cheering me on. Like, it's like, yes, this is it.
You think your brother was saying about time?
This is it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had some issues with my ex when he was alive still, too. Like, there were some times, like, I was going to the hospital by myself most of the time. I mean, my ex would come on holidays maybe with us, but mostly going by myself. So many things I did by myself, which is fine. Like, I'm independent. Like, I don't mind. Like, it doesn't bother me, but
you would like to have that support from your significant other.
Yeah, of course, and do some things together. But it was like, and it's not like if he was busy or something, or had a class or a playing lesson, whatever. That's different. But like, literally, the TV would come first over me a lot of the time.
Yeah. And that's when you know you need to go.
Yeah, but my intuition just, so intensified. I could feel like energies I never felt before, like number synchronicities. They like to harass me every day. The repeating numbers, like all the time. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of them for probably the number 23 is a big one, which I think my brother also sends me a lot. But yeah, all the other ones have been showing up a lot. It's like, one of the YouTubers I listened to, he was like, yeah, when you see all those, that means you're exciting the universe. I'm like, all right, go me. I'm exciting the universe. This is fun.
Yeah, so from my understanding, when you see those numbers like 1111 or 1212, I see 1111 a lot.
Yeah.
You're in vibrational alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I think the big thing is like, you're never supposed to be in total alignment all the time.
No.
You need the contrast to kind of bridge you forward.
Yeah.
If you were happy all the time, you wouldn't do anything.
No.
Right? Think about it. If someone was happy all the time,
Mm-hmm.
would you take risks, or would you just be like, this is cool, like, I'm just totally happy? So we need that as humans to become who we want to be. So your story really shows the dualities of like what's called the darkness and the light, right? And how you were able to navigate that darkness and get back to the light.
Yeah.
Do you think that's inspirational for your clients or for other people watching this to know, like, hey, we go through the darkness, but as long as we don't give up, we do get back to the light.
Absolutely. Yeah. And sometimes that's what makes you stronger. Like, some people want to avoid that. They don't want to feel. They don't want to go into the sadness, the anger,
Well, they use medications to not to feel.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to feel it to heal it. You have to go into that. You have to be able to process it, or you can't get out of it. Like, that is so important. Like, shadow work is a thing. I mean, Carl Jung, famous psychologist, like,
for those who don't know what shadow work is, like, such as myself.
Yeah.
I've heard it, but I could never describe it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the shadows are like those suppressed, repressed parts of ourselves we want to deny. We want to just ignore, like, the inner child, or who's craving out for healing or whatever. Like, those are all parts of ourselves that need us to be able to focus on them. Sometimes you can do it through meditation, journaling, therapy, so many different ways. But yeah, I think, in order to grow, you can't just ignore those things. They'll keep nagging at you. Just like that intuition, I mean, you're not listening to it. It's going to keep nagging at you. That was nagging at me for years about the marriage. Years. But it's such a hard, big change to make. And I was like, I wasn't ready. You have to be ready. That's what you're talking about with the clients. Like, you have to be ready. I was like,
the light bulb has to want to change.
I was ready to walk out there on my own. I don't care what happened. I would be more at peace without him, whether I was alone, whether I never had kids, no matter what happened, I would just be happier and at peace without him in my life. Making me anxious all the time or worried about whatever. Just, I needed to be away from that energy. I could not take that negativity in my life anymore. I was done. I was just done.
And had you continue to do that, you'd definitely be unhappy. You'd probably start manifesting other diseases, right? Because when you're in constant state of stress, disease happens.
Oh, and I got some. In 2016, I developed vestibular disorder, like vestibular migraines. So I was getting migraines a lot more then. Dizziness. So I had to go through some tests to figure out what the hell was going on there. Luckily, I just managed that with supplements and vestibular therapy exercises, which is great.
Physical therapy does it,
Yeah, I have to do a lot of these.
Okay, I see.
I have to stand on a cushion and move my head around and close my eyes, and but it's helped so much. Like, I only had to go in person a couple times, and I just do them on my own to keep up with it. But yeah, I mean, staying active definitely helps with that. Like, I have my moments. Like, if I'm exhausted, that's that time of the month or whatever, I'll feel like, ooh, I'm like, okay, all right, it's there, but then it goes away, and it's like just staying active helps a lot. So I'm very fortunate with that. But yeah, it's like, who knows? The stress or whatever, who knows if that helped me to develop something like that. Heart palpitations. I haven't had those in a while. What's going to happen later?
I mean, if you look at the word disease, it's dis-ease.
Yeah.
You're not at ease.
No.
Right? So when someone's in that constant state of beating themselves up, stress, anxiety,
right,
the next logical step in that vibration is a manifestation of disease.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm not manifesting that crap. I want to manifest good things now.
Right.
That's what it is.
Do you think going through all that, like now as a 40-year-old woman, your appreciation of things is greater because you went through that journey?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's like I learned also to be happy throughout the journey because it was a yucky situation to be stuck in a house with my ex-husband that I knew I wanted nothing to do with anymore. But, I wasn't going to leave the house with all my stuff, my cat. Like, I just, he was going to move back to Ohio. So that's fine. We're waiting to get it fixed up. So now this is where my frustrations are. It's like, if we had gotten this thing fixed up over the last 7 years, we wouldn't be doing it now. Between like July and August, took a couple of months to get it done. I had to get people.
And you're fixing up to sell?
People. Yeah. Because, even if it's just needed paint or whatever, it's like, we did some things, but again, he knew how to do a lot of the stuff. I didn't. I could paint, but I don't know how to remodel bathrooms. I don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah, you need the toilet. Yeah.
Like, seriously. Like, that's important, So, but yeah, I would still get that. You're not helping. Like, what the hell, like, if you're not doing it, like, okay, yeah, well, I'm that crap. So, let's just get it done so we can get the heck out of here. And so just, I had to deal with that crap for a little while. But got it done. And I was looking at apartments, for a little while. And it was like, okay, apartment costs were like literally twice the amount of my mortgage. And I had been in a house for 7 years. It's like, I like having a yard. I need that connection to nature. I want to have the coven over to have an outdoor ritual and just like connect to nature.
By the way, I'm down to come over. I would definitely like to see that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. We haven't done an outdoor one yet because I just moved in January. So it's too cold. But yeah, literally.
I don't want to freeze.
Indoor space too. We do indoor stuff when it's cold, raining or whatever. So yeah, but definitely I needed that. I loved seeing deer in my yard and just being in the.
But now it worked out for you, right? Because you have a house now that you love.
So between September and October, I was searching. I saw 23. There's my number, 23 houses, but it was number 22, the one I got. It was on October 23rd. I saw it. The synchronicities just don't stop. Yeah, I wasn't sure I could do it. My ex didn't think I could do it. He literally was like, if you don't find a house in time and you chase away a sale, I'm going to get a lawyer and sue you for the difference and all this shit. I'm like, okay, so yeah. And there was some other people too, that said, oh, you're not going to find it. Well, you had people doubt you along the way. Like, yeah, you can buy a house yourself. Like, yeah, I'm a therapist. We don't make that much money. Like, but I live within my means. I know how to budget. Like, and luckily, I always kept my finances separate from my ex. He didn't have control over that.
That's smart.
Seriously.
Smart. So can you talk to me about like how important self-care, self-love is for humans?
Yeah, it definitely is. I needed to figure out what would make me happy at this point. And having that place of my own was one of the biggest acts of self-love because I knew I could do it. Like I knew something in me said, go ahead, you got this. Like no matter how, I'd never done it before by myself. But you know what? I got pre-qualified. I paid off my car. I paid off a student loan. It was like, hey, what the hell? I'm going to try to do this. I don't care. I had a great agent, Jay Resendez. Give him a shout out. So if anybody needs a real estate agent, he helped me out.
We have viewers all over the globe. Does he work all over the globe?
He's in Cranston.
Okay, Cranston works too.
Anyways, but yeah, he was helpful. But yeah, I was like, I'm gonna find a way to do this, and I learned to be happy just with all that doubt. I was in so much doubt, not knowing what the hell was next, what was going to happen, where I was going to go, what I was going to find. If I would match up, selling the house and buying a house within the same time span, so I wouldn't have to figure out where to go in between, because that's a stressful thing. I was working on manifesting that, meditating on that every night, and so
setting your intentions.
Absolutely, yeah. I had to learn to trust. I had to learn to let go of what I couldn't control and just be like, visualize. I got this. I got to trust in my spirit family, my guides.
Do you do vision boards?
I do a lot of visualization.
Okay.
More internal. So that's always been my go-to because I'm a very visual person when it comes to that. So, but yeah, I knew that was going to be one of the things I needed. So between September and October, I was doing that. I found the house in October. Then you had to do all the paperwork for the mortgage, the inspections, all that fun stuff. Between November and December. But I also went back to JMK, my pole studio.
Yes, which we're going to be visiting this week.
Yes. So exciting. But I had performed for them for 9 years, I guess. It was 2010. I went there until COVID killed the shows we were doing. We were doing monthly shows every month that were great. They had burlesque, pole dancing, chair dancing, belly dancing, singing, comedy, hoop, like all kinds of stuff. And it was just, they were so much fun. It's like in-house show, not professional, but...
Well, that sense of community, did that help you?
Yeah, the energy, it was so much fun. Like, we're just a good group of people and loved them. So it sucks that COVID had to, kill that. And then the owner just had, a lot of her own stuff going on. And sadly, she's selling the place at the end of April, which, downer, but... In October, I didn't know at the time. I started going just the open pole, and just having fun with it. This dance has always been something that makes me feel alive. And that was, I need to feel alive again. I need something to just feel that connection to life. And not that it's the only thing, but it definitely brings that out of me. And it's yes, I felt really good going back there because... they had open pool for a little while before. It's again, I was just so exhausted trying to deal with everything. I couldn't get back there till it's October. I'm found the house I'm going to move into. And I'm just going to do all the paperwork stuff. So I'm I got to start doing this. So that was something that was part of the self-care, doing that. Meditation, do yoga every day, all that stuff that I do for me. Just focusing on what I need, what's going to help me to get through this, to be positive, to be happy.
To refill your cup.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it was just a lot of stress still, even though I knew my life was going in a better direction. It was still my ex started talking to his, an old girlfriend, whatever they get back with. I started talking to her September, so I'm you live in the same house, you're hearing conversation or parts of conversations.
You probably did that on purpose.
He moved in with her, basically,
yeah.
From November to, I think he was with his parents for a while, then he moved in with her. But it's literally the things he would tell me is he never told me about it, but I'd overhear little bits and pieces. And he's "Oh, you can keep the sheets because her and I are buying a queen size bed." And I'm he wanted a reaction out of me. It was just okay.
Well, and then that's interesting because when we talk about bullying, the reason people bully other people is to get a reaction.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't give them the reaction, they don't get that stimulus,
right?
And they could potentially stop.
Well, because he was trying to find ways to bring me down. It was literally
well, he needs to get control back.
He was I know you have a boyfriend. I know you get something. I can just tell. It's what? Why? What do you mean? Because I'm happier without you or
you
something?
should have been I have 3.
He's literally, I was just smiling about something one day, and he's "You belong in an institution." And I just started laughing because I'm what, happiness is insanity to you? It's I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, sometimes other people don't want other people to be happy.
Oh, no.
Which is why you got to stand on your own 2 feet and do what makes you happy, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So if someone's watching this, maybe they were in the dark place where you're at, and they're watching this right now.
Mm-hmm.
They hear your story. They know that Lori came out on top.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I bought my house in January of 2023. I'm in my house in Coventry. I have 3.1 acres of woods, which is a little bit more than I had before.
So we're living large here.
I'm loving it. I love so much peace with just me and my little guy, my little Binks. And just, everything is just perfect. Not perfect, but it's
much better.
It's much better.
So what would you tell them as Lori, the person, and Lori, the therapist? How are they going to take steps to improve their life? What do they have to do first?
Big one is trust your intuition. Trust it. No matter what it's telling, it's not going to shut up until you do. It will lead you to good things. It will definitely lead you to good things. Even if you don't know what the hell it is, even if you feel like it's just total darkness that you're in, just sometimes you have to go through that darkness. You have to go through that to find that light again. And
the important thing is not to stop.
Yeah. And you keep going on that journey. You keep taking one step in front of the other, and you will find your way. You know what? Another thing is life is not always going to turn out the way that you thought it would, or even the way that you necessarily thought you wanted. But you know what? Watching any good movie, show, or reading any good book, Isn't it better when there's a plot twist? I love a good plot twist. I love it. I think it's so much more exciting. So, hey, enjoy life's plot twists because they will definitely get you more than you thought you could have had, maybe. So,
and it'll lead you to where you the ending that you want.
Exactly. You're going to enjoy that journey along the way, and don't let anybody tell you who you are. Don't let anybody limit you. And be around those people that celebrate you, not just tolerate you. Because, yeah, you don't need that. Nobody needs that. And it's better to be alone, walk alone if you can't find those people. Because eventually you will once you get rid of the ones who are dragging you down.
Yeah, get rid of the crabs.
Right? Exactly. Become a butterfly and fly the hell away from those crabs. Transform. That's why I wear my butterfly today.
It's very pretty. And so, again, I want to thank you for this, for being so transparent about definitely some hard topics that you went through. But it's exciting for me to see like where you are now, because like I didn't know you then, that part of your life. I knew you in high school and I know you now. And when you come in to jiu-jitsu, like you're always smiling, you're always happy. Yeah. Right? And I think that's a testament to who you are and your mindset. And I know that definitely your brother's watching this and being proud.
I know he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
So thank you for this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Dr. Marc Bochner. Don't forget to check out my new book, Pug Learns to Believe. Hey guys, Dr. Marc here. Now I know a lot of you want to know how we get all these amazing results with our clients, and it comes down to 3 things. The first is fun fitness classes that burn a lot of calories. 2 is giving you an accountability coach to make sure you stay on track and get the best results. And 3 is the nutrition. Included in the nutrition is our food supplements. So we pair with Prestige Labs because I feel they are the best, they have integrity, and they get great results. These are actually the supplements that I take as well. Here's the awesome part. By clicking the link below, you can save 40% off the retail price. So you need that link to actually save 40%. If you just go to the normal site without my link, you're paying full price, okay? So these are the supplements my clients use. If you are interested, definitely click the link below and it'll tell you all about them.